Hello once again, and welcome to the third presentation. We've looked at intellectual disability and trauma. We've looked at social emotional regulation. Now we're looking at partnering with parents and carers for ACU ED ET300 and ED ES601. I am Marcus Johnson. I'm a teacher of almost 30 years, work in the special education space, and worked a lot in the trauma space as well. So trauma-informed practitioner. So thanks for being here. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land on which I work and live. I pay my deepest respects to our First Nations people, their elders past, present and future. I acknowledge our nation's First People's strong continuing cultural and spiritual connections to this land. I recognise the great diversity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across Australia and thank them for their ongoing care of land, water and sea. And today, I'm on Wurundjeri country in Melbourne. Parents and carers. So if we reflect on all that we have discussed about trauma, intellectual disability and social emotional regulation, it is imperative that our skills in recognising our authentic true self is invested in the future together. You are present, centred, grounded in your pedagogical practice, and this is no different when dealing with key stakeholders such as parents and carers. We are present and invested in our students' lives and their families, and this relationship is essential, absolutely essential. From working well with parents and carers and key stakeholders to achieve best outcomes, attendance rates, everything. When things aren't going well, I've found that if I have that solid foundation with my parents and caregivers, we can work through things. If you don't have that, it's extremely difficult. Having open lines of communication with our parents and carers enable you to meet people where they're at. You develop that philosophy of being lighter, remember lighter, which innately allows you to be friendlier, empathetic, warm, and develop all those important foundations of authentic relationships. We really do get to see parents and caregivers sometimes and key stakeholders at their most desperate time in need. And as teachers and professional educators, we are often on the front line. They look to us for help and they need that compassion and care and understanding to foster that two-way communication. If we look at the Department of Education's FISO model, we can clearly identify that learning and wellbeing is at the centre of what we do, always. The one critical aspect of our work is, of course, the engagement of our parents, carers and kin. That increases trust, which develops the empathy, authenticity, and networks that enable us to do our best work together. We understand as professionals, we all have these other elements that impact our pedagogy and practice, none more so than our relationships, none more so. So the relationships with our parents, carers, and kin of our students is paramount. An example of my own practice would be that recently a parent came in very heightened about I beg your pardon, I've just lost that there. Came in very heightened about a personal issue, and this was impacting her son. I spoke to mum in a safe space and worked through and validated her feelings and reflected with her the impact this was having on her son in the classroom. I thanked her for sharing her story and that I would work on coming up with some coping strategies with her son. The following week, this is the actual feedback that I got from the same mother. I just want to say thank you for checking in with me. I know the way that you are and how open you are makes me feel that my son is safe and that you care. So that was an amazing piece of feedback for me to get back. And this example is what we spoke about earlier, and the role trauma plays in our families' lives, and how little or how much the importance of it on the impact it has on learning. And as we know, learning and well-being should be, rightly so, at the centre of everything we do, especially when you add the dimension of having a child or an adult with special needs such as ASD. Strong, trusting relationships with open lines of communication really put families at ease, which in turn means that they are better able to partner with the school when it comes to educating their child. Working in the education space, sometimes there's no manual on how to handle certain situations. But if we believe and trust that our authenticity will always have our back, then this will hold us in good standing when being lighter, gentle, and empathetic to the needs of our families, carers, and our students. So always, back that lighter, gentle, and empathetic, and that authentic self that you can be. It's tough when you're first starting out, but believe me, practice your pedagogy, being lighter and that authentic self, and it will come. To return to being our authentic, best versions of ourselves, we must recognise that we all bring different core values. Any more than 4 core values, modern research is seen to be too many. So the reason we need to understand our 3 to 4 core values is to help us identify what drives us, our relationships, and how we interact with our students, parents, and their carers. Conflict can arise when our values do not align with our parent or carer, and we need to identify this and not to take it personally. We need to reflect and accept that we all come from different backgrounds with different life experiences. If we identify our core values by looking at the many core values available to us and grouping them accordingly to get to the 3 to 4 main core values, this will help us define our authentic, intentional, and best version of ourselves and develop a wonderful and productive relationship within ourselves. My personal core values, which I have 3, are 1, authenticity, 2, loyalty, and 3, respect. I can easily identify these values in my own practice and how this may impinge in my own life and work. I also understand that when these values do not align with others, I need to be more sensitive and listen to my inner self and revisit the theme of everyone comes from different backgrounds with different journeys that define their core values. I encourage all of you to do your own research into your own core values, reflecting on who you are and where you've come from. Once again, thank you very much for being part of this presentation. If we reflect, what has this raised for you in your professional practice? What has extended your thinking? And what has challenged you? Until next time, goodbye.